What if the people closest to you are not who you think they are? And what if you aren't who you think you are either? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the hidden truths about human behavior that psychologists know, but almost nobody talks about openly. These aren't theories from a textbook. These are the raw, uncomfortable, sometimes dark realities of why people do what they do. Stay till the end, because the last one might change how you see every relationship in your life. Point 1. People don't act based on truth. They act based on belief. Here's something that will quietly blow your mind. Humans do not respond to reality. They respond to their version of reality. Think about that for a second. Two people can experience the exact same event: a breakup, a job loss, a betrayal, and one person completely falls apart, while the other one grows stronger. Same event. Completely different behavior. Why? Because behavior isn't driven by what happened. It's driven by the story you told yourself about what happened. Psychologists call this cognitive framing. And it's everywhere. The person who was cheated on and says, "I'm unlovable," will behave very differently from the person who says, "That wasn't the right person for me." Same wound. Different story. Different life. This is why you can never fully judge someone's actions without understanding what's going on inside their head. And here's the scary part. Most people don't even know what story they're running. It's buried so deep they think it's just who they are. Point 2. Kindness can be a weapon. Now this one makes people uncomfortable. Not all kindness is genuine. There is a psychological concept called strategic niceness. And it's more common than you think. Some people are kind not because they care about you, but because they want something from you. Attention, loyalty, control, validation. And here's how you spot it. Watch what happens when you say no to that person. Genuine kindness doesn't disappear the moment you stop being useful. But strategic kindness? It evaporates almost instantly. The person who was always so supportive suddenly becomes cold, distant, or even aggressive. That's not love. That's a transaction dressed up as love. Psychologists call this conditional positive regard, and it leaves deep emotional scars because the victim often blames themselves for the withdrawal of warmth. Think about someone in your life right now. Has their kindness ever felt just slightly too convenient? Point 3. The brain is literally addicted to drama. This is where it gets interesting. Your brain, yes, your brain, is chemically wired to seek out conflict, problems, and chaos. Here's why. When something negative happens, your brain releases cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones. And while those feel uncomfortable, they also make you feel alive, alert, important. Over time, the brain starts craving that stimulation. This is why people stay in toxic relationships. Not because they're weak, but because the chaos has become neurologically comfortable. It's why some people always have something dramatic happening in their life. A fight with a friend, a work crisis, a family conflict. They aren't unlucky. They are, often unconsciously, creating the drama because their nervous system is hooked on it. This is called trauma bonding and high cortisol dependency in psychology. And the worst part? Breaking this cycle feels wrong at first. Peace feels boring. Stability feels suspicious. Have you ever noticed that when things are going too well, something in you starts to get nervous? That's not a coincidence. Point 4. Most people are performing, not living. Let's go deeper. There's a concept in psychology called impression management, introduced by sociologist Irving Goffman. The idea is simple but devastating. Almost everything people do in public is a performance. The way they dress, the way they laugh, what they post online, even the way they suffer, sometimes especially the way they suffer. People curate their pain just like they curate their highlight reel. And here's the dark truth behind this. When someone performs their emotions long enough, they start to lose touch with what they actually feel. They don't know if they're sad or just playing the role of someone sad. They don't know if they're in love or just attached to the idea of love. This is called emotional numbness through performance. And in the age of social media, it's becoming an epidemic. The mask gets worn so long, it starts to feel like the face. But here's what most people never ask. If almost everyone is performing, who's watching? Each other. All of us. An audience of performers watching other performers, all pretending to be the only real one in the room. Let that sink in. Point 5. Silence is one of the most powerful psychological tools. Most people think influence comes from speaking. They're wrong. Silence is where real psychological power lives. When someone says something hurtful and you respond immediately, you give them control over your emotions. But when you pause, when you go quiet, something shifts. The other person becomes uncomfortable. They start to fill the silence. They second-guess themselves. They reveal more than they intended. In interrogation psychology, investigators are trained to let silence stretch uncomfortably long, because people hate silence and they will say almost anything to end it. In relationships, the person who is least reactive has the most power. This isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about emotional regulation, one of the highest forms of psychological intelligence. The next time someone tries to provoke you, try saying nothing. Watch what happens. Watch how quickly they unravel. Point 6. People fear success more than failure. This one sounds backward. But stay with me. Psychologists have identified something called fear of success, and it is shockingly common. Here's how it works. Deep down, many people believe that if they become too successful, they will lose people they love. They'll be seen differently. They'll be expected to maintain a standard they're not sure they can keep. So unconsciously, they self-sabotage. They procrastinate. They start arguments before big opportunities. They get sick right before an important moment. It doesn't look like fear of success on the surface. It looks like bad luck, or laziness, or not being ready. But underneath, it's a deeply buried belief that success is dangerous, that being seen fully is dangerous. This often comes from childhood, from being punished for being too much, too smart, too loud, too ambitious, and that wound follows you silently into every room you enter as an adult. Point 7. The darkest truth. Most people don't want you to change. And now we arrive at the one that stings the most. When you start to grow, when you start setting boundaries, improving yourself, choosing peace over chaos, not everyone will celebrate that. Some people will resist it. Some will mock it. Some will quietly pull away. And those people? They are almost always the ones who benefited from your old self. The version of you that was agreeable, insecure, easy to control, easy to guilt. Your growth is a mirror they don't want to look into. In psychology, this is called social homeostasis, the tendency of social groups to resist change in any member because it threatens the balance of the whole system. Your family, your friend group, even your workplace, they have a role assigned to you. And the moment you refuse to play it, they will try to put you back in your place. The question is, will you let them? Here is the truth no one tells you. Human behavior is rarely what it appears to be on the surface. People are driven by wounds they haven't healed, stories they haven't questioned, and fears they haven't named. Including you. Including me. But here's the difference between the people who stay stuck and the people who evolve. The ones who evolve get curious about themselves instead of comfortable. They stop asking, why is everyone doing this to me? And start asking, what in me keeps attracting this? That shift, that one simple shift in awareness, is where everything changes. If this video made you see something differently today, don't let that feeling pass. Subscribe to MindUnlockedX. Because every week we go deeper into the psychology of human behavior, so you can understand the world around you, protect your peace, and unlock the most powerful version of your mind. The truth is out there. Most people just aren't brave enough to look. But you are. That's why you're still here.